I've simulated 100 years into the future on FM24 to find out what kind of footballing landscape we are living in, who has made their way to the top of the pile, and who has had the worst falls throughout this century of simulation. Find out in the video right now. And if you like this kind of content, please make sure you hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content just like this. At the top of the table, we have, unfortunately, Man City taking out the title. What's changed in 100 years, eh? Not much right there. Chelsea come in second place with Leeds, Wolves and Cardiff taking up the rest of the Champions League spots. Elsewhere in the Premier League, we find Lincoln City in 6th, Colchester United in 13th, and it's good to see Portsmouth back in the top flight and still surviving in 15th place. Moving down to the Championship, and we find Wrexham winning the league, with Bury and Fulham joining them in promotion to the Premier League for the 21-24 season. Aston Villa and Everton are both sitting in the Championship, with Burnley and Bournemouth just surviving relegation. Gateshead have managed to get themselves up into the Championship, but they're on their way back down again, along with Brighton. League One sees AFC Fylde making their way up through the playoffs into the Championship. They beat Leicester City in the playoff final to join Oxford and Cambridge in going up. Other teams we find in here are Nottingham Forest and Southampton, while Gloucester City, who started in the National League North, have got themselves into League One. In Sky Bet League 2, we finally see Liverpool, who have just got themselves promoted out of League 2 and into League 1 for next season. Joining them are Watford, Spennymoor Town and Torquay United. Perennial Championship level side Millwall now find themselves struggling in mid-table in League 2. Going down to the National League, and we find Bromley and Kidderminster Harriers going up into the Football Leagues. In mid-table of the National League, we find Brentford, who have had a major drop out of the Football Leagues, along with Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham, who both start in the Championship at the start of the game. In the National League North, we find Notts County going up with Bradford Park Avenue. Notts County, of course, with their bit of extra money these days, are attempting to make their way up the Football Leagues, but in this universe, they're only just getting themselves back into the National League. Some fantastic team names in this league at the moment, with St Neots Town, Coventry Sphinx, Leicester Nirvana, Skegness Town and Sporting Club Inkbarrow having played in the league this season. And finally, we head down to the National League South to see Dulwich Hamlet and Dorking Wanderers going up. And unfortunately, my Yeovil Town side miss out despite getting themselves into the playoffs. Some fantastic teams in this league with Team United, Brentford, Helston Athletic and Herne Bay being some highlights. As we go down the leagues, we finally find Wycombe Wanderers, who are sitting in lower table of the Southern League Premier South Division in the 7th level of the English football pyramid. And in the Northern Premier League Division 1 East, in the 8th level of English football, we find Hartlepool United, who of course were only relegated from League 2 last season in real life, and didn't quite get back up there through the playoffs this season. But for the biggest fall from grace, we head to the Hellenic League Premier Division in the 9th level of English football, where we finally find Cheltenham Town, who of course start in League 1 in FM24. So this is definitely the biggest drop we have seen in this 100 years save. Let's take a look into the past winners of the Premier League now, and we can see so much Manchester City on this list. In fact, the lowest they have finished here is 3rd, and that was once in 2110. Chelsea have picked up a couple of wins, and the rest of the Premier League titles go to Wolves, who have turned into a fantastic club. A little further back, we see more Chelsea, and plenty to Wolves and Man City, but this is broken up by Nottingham Forest and Norwich City getting title wins in 2079 and 2071 respectively. Prior to this, we see Wolves picking up their first Premier League victory before their dominant years in 2067. We see so much Chelsea and Man City on this list, with Arsenal and Newcastle getting Premier League trophies much further back. And going back to where this save all began, we see Liverpool getting 2 out of the first 3 trophies, with Arsenal asserting their early dominance over the save. Man City didn't win their first Premier League title in this save until 2029. Everton, though, managed a 3rd place finish behind Arsenal and Man City in the 2027 season. Checking out the results from the FA Cup to find the winners over the past 100 years. We see plenty of Man City lately, of course, but Wolves have had a strong period of dominance a decade ago or so. We also find the trophy listed by Preston, Derby County and Lincoln City. Moving further down, we see a lot more variety here with teams like Crystal Palace, plenty more to Norwich City, and Burnley getting themselves a big win in 2070 over Man City. The previous years show wins to West Brom, Hull City and Bournemouth being highlights in this period, while there was a 6-year period of London dominance with Arsenal, Chelsea twice, Crystal Palace, West Ham and Brentford getting the cup, bookended by Everton wins. In the Champions League, we see plenty of winning seasons by English sides, with Man City and Wolves being most dominant, but Tottenham and Chelsea also managed to pick up the famous trophy. Moving further backwards, we see more of Chelsea, Wolves and Man City wins. However, Nottingham Forest did manage to get themselves into a final, losing to Chelsea in 2084. Norwich City have picked themselves up 4 Champions League trophies, with Leeds United and Arsenal also getting themselves wins. Chelsea have won the Champions League plenty of times, but the most amazing effort was Hull City getting themselves into the 2057 final, only to lose to Barcelona. Leeds United managed to get a victory in 2059 a couple of seasons later. The start of the saves saw the usual English suspects getting wins, with Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea all picking up multiple trophies. Checking out some international football now, and we see Spain absolutely dominating the World Cup landscape with 5 of the last 6 competition wins. Amazingly, Ukraine managed to beat Denmark in a final in 2042, with Wales getting into a final in 2058, only to lose to Germany in Indonesia. In the Euros, Spain has had an incredible period of dominance with 6 in a row, at a time when they didn't win the World Cup. England have had 7 competition wins with a hat-trick of victories coming relatively recently, and Turkey managed to get a victory along with Denmark, having picked up their 2nd ever Euro trophy with a win over England in 2032. If we have a look at the trophies picked up by Man City, who have been the most dominant side, they have an amazing 27 Champions League wins, to go with winning the Premier League 56 times in total. Wolves have got themselves up to 19 Premier Leagues, as well as winning the Champions League 10 times, while Crystal Palace has won the UEFA Europa League an amazing 11 times without winning the Premier League or Champions League during that time. And finally, we come to my Man United side, who have surely won plenty more trophies. And we haven't. No Champions League, no Premier League trophies, but at least we have 9 Europa League wins, I guess. This has been such a fun dive into the world 100 years into the future, and I'm also preparing a video that shows the world 200 years in the future, and the changes to that world are far more stark. If you like this video, you'll soon get that wonderful trip 200 years into the future, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when that comes out. On the screen now will be a video showing what happens when the A-League in Australia is swapped with the Premier League teams to completely change the landscape of English and even European football itself. Check it out now and have a wonderful day.